Hi, this is Jordan. This month's XDA Developer TV is brought to you by the Samsung Smart App Challenge 2012. Enter for your chance to win your piece of over $4 million in cash prizes by clicking the banner at the top of xdadevelopers.com or by visiting developer.samsung.com. It is Friday, June 29th, 2012, and let's go ahead and talk about what happened this week because it was a big week. The big news, of course, if you hadn't heard about it, this week started Google's I/O conference, and so far only the highlights from day one have been posted, but boy were they some highlights. Just to sort of give you the 10,000-foot overview, Jelly Bean version 4.1 of the Android operating system was announced. The whole point of it to be prettier, faster, smoother, all sorts of things like that. Better notification system. I mean, there are so many things that are improved in it that it really is going to be worth it once it is actually available. It's supposed to be made available in the middle of July for certain devices like the Nexus, the Nexus S, the Motorola Zoom, and probably a couple of others. And other devices will get it along the course of the year, hopefully. I don't think there's actually been any word as to when the Galaxy S3 should be receiving it, but hopefully that will be in the near future as well. They also demonstrated their Project Glass, which is essentially just a little item that you attach to your glasses, and it does all sorts of Android-based things. I believe it connects to your smartphone. I may have missed that portion of it, but it will give you the ability to do sort of heads-up display things where you can take photos with it, you can live stream, you can make phone calls, you can interact with certain applications. I mean, there are a ridiculous amount of things you can do with it. However, they also announced what the price is going to be for the first run, which is actually the developer's version, the early build of it that's not going to be available till early 2013, and that is $1,500. So if you're lucky enough to be at Google I/O, like one of our XDA TV people will, then if you've got $1,500 on hand, you might be able to pre-order one. Not saying that you should, because $1,500 for something you attach to your glasses, albeit a cool device, is a bit ridiculous. And of course you can't mention the first day of I/O without mentioning the Nexus devices that they unveiled. First and foremost is the Nexus 7, which is a 7-inch tablet that Google's going to be selling and actually is already on sale, at least pre-order, through the Play Store. Has a quad-core processor, 8 or 16 gigs of built-in storage, and is supposed to have a 9-hour battery. For me, the downside is that it does not have a rear-facing camera and it doesn't come in any sort of data-connected version, so no 3G, no 4G. However, it does have a cloud-connected, and anyone can control it from any Android device on your network. I'm not going to go into any more detail on any of that though, because Adam's going to be doing a full Google I/O wrap-up, I believe tomorrow, Saturday, so look forward to that. Now actually, speaking of the Nexus 7 and the Nexus Q, if you're interested in those devices, there are now forums created on the XDA site. And along that same line, speaking of Jelly Bean, since it was announced, they had Galaxy Nexuses on site that were running Jelly Bean, and people that went to Google I/O were all given the Galaxy Nexus, the Galaxy Nexus 7, and the Nexus Q, which I have to say, Will, if you did get those, I do expect to see some video from you. But anyway, like I said, they're running Jelly Bean on the Nexus now, and we wouldn't be XDA if we didn't already rip it off of it and make it available. Thanks to XDA forum member PT0, that exactly has happened. So if you have the GSM Galaxy Nexus and you want to give it a try, it's supposed to be working really well, and from what I've heard, and I haven't seen it in an article yet, it does appear that the Verizon version is working as well. There is an article on the forum, I think it's on the XDA forum. I saw it in a couple of places today, so do take a look for that if you're interested as well. And speaking of ripping things out of Jelly Bean, because that's what we do, XDA senior member I'mBones9 has gone ahead and ripped the brand new Google Play Store out of Jelly Bean and made it available. And getting back to ripping Jelly Bean itself off of things, XDA senior member T-Gesconi, and I'm pronouncing that terribly, I know, has made it available for the HTC One X international version. However, there are a laundry list of known issues, such as Wi-Fi, audio, camera, so please do not be in a huge hurry to go using this for your daily driver device. But if you do want to help out in the efforts to get it working 100%, definitely go check out the forum, maybe flash it to your device just to see how it works for you and see if there's anything you can fix. One way or another, I do think it's very cool to see Jelly Bean already out there in the wild, considering that the source is not available, it's not officially available anywhere yet, it's only on developer devices, and of course you give it to developers that are going to do things like XDA developers do! Anyway, speaking of taking ROMs and ripping them out and putting new things in their places, if you have used CyanogenMod in the past and you're interested in using the ice cream sandwich version of it, you may want to go ahead and give it a look. This week, CyanogenMod 9's release candidate 1 became available for 37 different devices. Unfortunately, my little device, the Droid X, is not one of them. Shake my fist angrily. but I guess that's to be expected at some point. I've tried a couple of ice cream sandwich ROMs at this point on mine, and it's just not turning out particularly well, particularly in the video decoding areas. And speaking of things not quite working as they're supposed to, if you own the international Samsung Galaxy S3, you've probably noticed cell standby eating 50 to 70% of your battery at worst. Well, XDA senior member Andrilu and XDA recognized contributor Bala Gamer figured out that Samsung made a mistake. Essentially, the power drain value for the cell standby mode was set to 34 milliamps instead of 3.4 milliamps. 34 being an impossible figure. So essentially, when you would put it into cell standby, or if it was just in standby mode, it would sit there and just eat the battery. However, XDA senior member Ozdim has put together a flashable update.zip that you can use to fix this problem. And the last story I thought I would mention is something just completely out of left field in my opinion. If you're like me and you have some large USB hard drives that you thought it would be kind of cool to hook up to your Android device, you probably realized that you may not be able to do that at this point, because a lot of people do have them formatted in the NTFS file system, and NTFS was just not compatible with Android up to this point. However, thanks to XDA senior member Shardul Seth, he has come up with a way of compiling the Fuse and NTFS 3G modules that are required to make this work, and he's written a script to mount the device once you put it in there. Now, it's not just going to be as easy as just plugging the device in and it works. You're going to have a terminal open to do the mounting, but once you get the Fuse module and NTFS 3G and run this script, then you can mount your large external hard drives, or even your NTFS formatted SD cards if you are so inclined. One way or another, I thought that was a pretty cool thing, and USB on the go is becoming more and more prevalent as people are starting to use their mobile devices as a desktop replacement in some ways. I know I've seen the Galaxy Nexus and the Galaxy S3 hooked up to HDMI with some Bluetooth peripherals and even sometimes USB peripherals and used as a desktop replacement. And with Ubuntu on Android working their way into more and more devices, hopefully, this may become a viable option. And actually that does lead me to a question that I would have for you guys. If you could use your phone as an everyday driver kind of desktop replacement or a laptop replacement or whatever, something where you would essentially hook it up to a couple of peripherals and have it have a full desktop experience, is that something you'd be interested in? And would you want the Android interface or the Ubuntu interface where you actually have full desktop applications and get all of your Android notifications on it as well? For me, I would probably go with the Ubuntu one simply because I do use Ubuntu here at home, and because having the full-sized applications, the actual full Ubuntu applications, it would be kind of nice, even though a lot of them would have to be recompiled, I'm certain. Anyway, I'm completely off topic. If you are interested in trying out NTFS on your device and hooking up your external hard drives and your NTFS SD cards, go for it. Give it a shot. It's supposed to be very easy to do, except for it's a little complicated. Not too bad. And the very last thing to mention, if you haven't seen it already, earlier this week AdamOutler put out a video on learning to use Linux for mobile development. Basically just step 2 in our using the Linux terminal series and intro to being an Android developer on Linux kind of thing. So definitely worth a look, especially if you're not familiar with the Linux terminal yet. But that is all from me for today. Look forward to that video from Adam this weekend talking all about Google I/O, all the products and everything from a developer standpoint. So I look forward to seeing it and I hope you do as well. Hope you have a wonderful weekend otherwise, and I will see you in a few days. Bye guys.